No, 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 no. You're good. Gosh, you got me worried now.
Just a quick look how we would look in it.
Loads of time, yeah.
Tessék? Köszönöm.
Kettőig van kaja.
Menjen most.
Ja, 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 köszönöm.
Who's the commentator on this one, Matthew?
Julian
Very
Fettlein.
fair man. Very
I
fair.
haven't seen you
Very
doing
fair
it.
man.
Okay.
Nobody,
Hi everyone,
nobody saw
and
him.
welcome back to the Art Gammon UK Open. This is round two.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
I think he can hear you. He can hear you now.
Yeah, okay.
Very loud.
So the players we've got today at the top of the board is Jason Champion,
I think
who's
he's
a guy
so you,
I
yeah.
knew in Bristol.
Good match.
And at the bottom of the board we have Sean Casey from Ireland, who used to be the best player in Ireland, but I haven't actually seen or played with either of these players for 5 or 6 years. So I do have a funny story to tell you about Jason, that we both went to a tournament and we met up getting out of our cars in the car park, and Jason had his family dog with them, and unfortunately the dog had gone blind, so Jason was the seeing eye for the blind dog. Right, so match is underway. Sean has started with a 2-1 slotting. Jason rolls 6-5, runs out. Sean gets a 1-4. So the 1 he should use to cover the 5 point, and then the 4 probably split with the back checkers. So Sean did very well, winning one of the World Series of backgammon tournaments. I think it was in Cannes, where he defeated Nodar Gagua in a very tense final, which went down to the last roll. And I seem to recall Sean got a double at the crucial stage in the bear-off. Right, so Jason hits on the 5 point, which is usually the right idea in the early stages of the game. You want to fight for key points. So Sean comes in with a 4, and certainly one alternative is to run the same guy out. So then you give him 1s and 3s to hit in the outfield, but that duplicates the 1s and 3s he needs to cover. So that's what Sean has gone for. So now Jason would ideally like to hit and cover, and he can't hit, but he can cover. So now both players have got the 5 point, and both players have got one checker back. So it's what Sean can do with his next roll. So 2-1 is not particularly impressive. He can certainly save his blot in the outfield. And then probably 11-10 is the best one. I guess he could make the 11 point, but that doesn't really have a lot of value when you've got the 5 made already. So at the moment, Sean is leaving a 6-4 to hit. But if he comes up to the 10 point, he bears on the 4, and he still only leaves a 6-3 because 5-4 is blocked. But his play, on the other hand, duplicates the 6-4, which Jason has conveniently rolled. And he sensibly hits outside, escapes his last back checker, and sends one of Sean's checkers back. Sean gets 4-2, so he comes in, so he can anchor, but I'm pretty sure he should hit here. So he duly does. So double 5 fans, no place. So Sean wants a 2 to make an anchor or something else to extend his block at the bottom of the board. So 6-4 can make the barbel the 2 point or run. So I would think making the barb is probably best, even though it's only trying to prime one checker. So 1-6 is Jason is in, and he can either hit on the 2 point or come down. So this leaves 2 shots, but only 1 blot. So Sean's still trailing with 2 checkers back to 1, so I think he should wait on the doubling. And let's wait till you hit and then double. So Sean does have some good numbers. He's got 2s to anchor, 3s and 5s to hit. But he's still a long way from having his prime or his closed board. So these rolls will give him an advantage, but not an overpowering advantage quickly, I would say. However, he's deciding to double. I would expect Jason to take this, which he really does. So 4-1, that's the 5 that hits. So now, after Sean's executed his threat, let's see what Jason can do in reply. So he enters at the edge of the prime and could have run out, but it's a very good play to even your distribution in the outfield. So he had 4 on the midpoint and 2 on the 8 point. So equaling those distributions to have 3 on each gives you a spare on 2 points. So Sean's 3-1 is good. It locks up his defense, but he can't do anything offensively. So Jason's looking for 3 here to make his own advanced anchor. Double 5 doesn't do it, so he's looking at running 21 to 6. So the alternative would be just to stay back and strengthen his board. Now he's looking at running, so if you run, I guess you go all the way with that one. I'd be tempted myself to stay back on the 21 point and make the 1 point as the first half of the play. I would think is right. And then maybe decide if you want to run, or perhaps 13 to 3 was the alternative with the last pair. So a lot depends on what the race is like here. If Jason is ahead in the race, then there's a lot more justification for his play to try and lose contact. So 6-5, not a great roll. Sean wanted to extend his prime. He can point on the 1 point, certainly. Or the alternative would be to play 2 down from the midpoint and work on his prime. So I'd be tempted to make the priming play, but I certainly wouldn't bet that the pointing play was wrong. I think the problem he's got is that Jason's got no other blots he can pick up if Sean manages to keep him on the bar. So Sean points and Jason fans, so Sean has a free roll to improve his game. So the safe play is 13 to 5, or he could try and clear the bar point anchor while his opponent is on the bar. So I guess he's doing a count, so he's probably a bit ahead after this play. Yes, I think I've got about 8 pips ahead at the moment, so it's not overpowering. So 3-2 is a good roll. He can choose where to enter. So he's chosen to enter high, so he's got a direct exit, which looks like the right thing to do. So 2-1 for Sean is not at all what he was after. So I guess it's tempting to move the checker on the 18 on the bar point to avoid leaving a double shot next time. So that would probably be 18 to 15. Yeah, so that's what he's gone for. So now Jason's got lots of good rolls. He'd like to escape, he'd like to hit, and he'd like to cover. But he can't escape or hit, so he's made the 4 point. So the stronger he makes his board, the harder it is for Sean to attack. Now, having said that, double 5 is a brilliant roll. So I would start by pointing on the 3 point and then deciding if you want to make the 2 point afterwards. So making the 2 point would keep a 5 point board, so that's more likely to keep your opponent stuck on the bar. and will give you more chances of winning a gammon. But you are leaving some indirects in the process. So now Sean has got to tidy up and figure out how much progress he can make towards making the 4 point. So he probably, well, I'm sure he doesn't want to slot the 4 point for the moment, but the question is, will he want to hit loose when Jason comes in there? So 5-1 is a bit awkward. So it looks like he's got to expose another blot somehow. Now this is cutting down on the builders, but it's only leaving double 4 as a super joker, and 4-1 he would certainly like, but he's found again. So 3-1, I think Sean comes down 13-10 and then makes the 8 point. So then he's got 3 builders and he's only paying off to a 4-5. So you'll notice as the game has gone on that Sean's play of making the 2 point has worked out really well. That he's kept Jason on the bar for long enough. So safe play would be 10-3, which leaves us 2 builders for the 4 point, or we could be a bit more ambitious and play 9-2, say, so that we have an extra builder, but it's going to cost us in shots. So I think Sean is right here that you keep the win under control and then see if the gammon comes. So 3-1 here, and I think you just give him double 4. So yeah, this is getting 3 builders, or he saves the blot. So 8-5 and 3-2 would have been my play. So you just leave a double 4, but you still get the 3 builders. But you're trading off shots against builders, so it's not clear one way or another how bad the shots are and how good the builders are. The double 2 is brilliant, so now he's made the 4 point, and bringing the last one in means he's safe for sure next roll. So double 1, you should come in, then play 6-5 is completely safe, and then 3-2. So Sean's looking to try and win a gammon here, and the question is how much risk should he take to do that? So closing one checker out usually gets you about 5% gammons, but you've got to add in something extra for all the white pieces in the outfield. And there was a woman from Denmark or Norway, somewhere in Scandinavia, Hannah, who told me her rule is that you can add an extra 2% gammons for every pip your opponent has in the outfield. So you can see white needs 25 pips to get the outfield checkers home. So that would be an extra 50% gammon. So that would say the gammons are close here. So you should be prepared to take some risk to get the extra gammons, but not a crazy amount of risk. So this is just paying off double 5 and double 6. So that's probably the right play. The safe play would be 5-1 and 6-4, so no shots. But you'd have to open up the 6 or the 5 point next time if you rolled a 5 or a 6. So plays are going to be close, but I think taking the checker off is the top play. So 4-1, he can. Oh, sorry, it's 2-1, so he can take a checker off and play safely. So he's kept the close board for as long as he can, so now he's got to open a point, and this is the safe way to do it. He could have taken a checker off by opening up the 5 point, but then he leaves himself open to 5-1 and 6-1 as shot leaving numbers. Double 3, I think we have to clear the 5 and the 3. That seems to be the only safe play. Still, it's got an extra 2 checkers off, so we've got 11 left, so he must have 4 off. So white comes in. So he stays back to potentially get a shot and tries to rush his outfield checkers home. 4-2 is a great shot. 2 checkers off and no shot. So 3-2. So now Jason's got to compromise. He's trying to bring his outfield checkers home without wasting pips. So that's a good play. It works on making the bar point if he hits, but doesn't waste any pips if he doesn't. So now Jason's just in a race to get in all his crossovers and get his checkers home. And I have a suspicion he might be 1 roll behind where he needs to be. Yeah, so he needs 6 checkers to get 6 crossovers to get home, and the 7th one to take the checker off. And it looks as though he's probably only going to get 6 dice to do that with. So he's got to make up an extra crossover with the double, and this just about does it. So this gives him some of the 6s next time. So 6-1, 6-4, 6-5, 6-6, double 3, double 4, double 5. But 5-1 isn't it? So Sean takes a 4-point lead, and 9-point matches. I had a look beforehand that each point lead in a 9-point match is worth slightly over 5% match winning chances. So Sean is somewhere between 70 and 75% match winning chances now. So a useful guide as to how aggressive you should be is potentially just think how many points you need and how many points your opponent needs. And if you need twice as many points as your opponent, then you need to work hard to catch up now. So Jason starts with 5-1, splitting is fine. Sean rolls a 4-5, so he should definitely be splitting. So Sean, having the match lead, is going to try and get to positions where he has an advanced anchor and avoids being gammoned. So this play I don't like because it's going through a racing game, which is good when it works, that you don't get gammoned. But the problem is when it doesn't work, that you find you spend all your rolls trying to escape and you haven't got any development. But having said that, that double 1 is a brilliant shot. So although he's hit, he manages to hit back and make the 5-point. So 4-2, another good shot. So he anchors at the edge of the prime. So that's Jason's defense taken care of. So next thing is he's going to try and find a way to improve his position at the top of the board. So double 1, Sean wants to save his checker at the bottom. So probably he's got to use 2 1s to do that. So either 8-7 twice or 7-5. So 7-5 looks to me a more aggressive play. So maybe 24-22, 7-5 is the play I'd make. You could also argue that 24-22 twice stops you being gammoned, and all white's hits will involve him breaking the anchor. So it's no bargain if he rolls 3x to hit. So 6-2 he can't hit, but he correctly makes the 4-point. So Sean's got into the sort of game he wants, where both players have an advanced anchor and there's very few gammons. But he has a slight disadvantage because his anchor is further back. So it's easier for Jason to make a prime in front of the 3-point than it is for Sean to make a prime in front of the 4-point. So double 3 is a good shot. He can add a new blocking point. And then I think 10-7 with the last 3. So having got 5 blocking points, Sean should be thinking that that's the best he can do on offense for the moment. So he should be thinking about running off his anchor next turn. It might be too dangerous, but it's certainly something to consider, given the fact that his forward position is probably going to get worse as time goes by. So 6-4, not a great roll, making a point behind the anchor. 4-3, Sean can't move his back checker, so sensibly makes another point in board. So often with these mutual holding games, both players play very safely and nothing happens for quite a while until the holding game as it is now collapses, that both players have, or one player has nothing else to move and that they have to make a run off the anchor. So 5-1, again Sean can't move. And Jason's thinking about doubling. I don't think it's right, especially when the 5 point is open. So 3-2. And I think it's too risky to slot the 5 point. Yeah, I think he's got to do this. Not that it's a great move, but there's nothing else to do. So 5-4. Now Sean's blockade is starting to break down, but he hasn't had an opportunity to run one of his back checkers. So I would clear the back point now. So that leaves him with some spares to move next time. And with a 6, he can choose to break down his blockade a bit more or to make a run for it. 5-3 looks really awkward. So we can run, but I think that's too dangerous. So the alternative would be to clear the 7 point. So although that shortens our blockade, at least there's no blots with the play. So yes, if you do this, you have to expose a blot somewhere else. So I think Sean would be very keen to hit if he rolls a 2. So I don't like this play. I think it was an awkward roll, but I think this is maybe third best in terms of choices. So Sean's having a think. Always sensible to choose, to decide, to think about doubling. So he rolls the 2 he wanted, and there's no good 1. So 6-5 kills Bill. The 2-1 looks pretty poor as well. So he could switch 3-2, but I think overall this is the least bad use of the 1. So 4-3 he comes in. Now he's forced to hit on the 5 point. So there's no safe play, so you might as well be hitting. Yeah, so this is safer. It's only a single shot, but there seems to be very little upside with this play. So because of the previous exchange, Jason's got 3 back. He's losing the race. So he should be prepared to take a risk to try and catch up in the game rather than lose the game slowly. So Sean can hit with 1s, is very strong, or he can escape the checker with ideally a 6, but also a 4. So Sean has the edge here. With the match lead, I would be waiting. Again, even if you roll perfectly, you get a 4-6 and you escape both your back checkers, there's still the problem of getting home. So 3-1 hits, and then 6-3 is the only safe 3. So now we see if Jason can make a comeback. So he's looking for 1, but he stays on the bar. So Sean now needs 4s, 5s, and 6s to escape. So he can cover, but then he can't get out. Yeah, so this is right. I think he's got to save the blot and then escape next turn, hopefully. Jason is in and out. So this, in a way, is kind of showing what my point was about not doubling too early. So Sean executed his threat, but I think Jason would still be happy to take the cube in this position. So 3-1 is not a good roll. He can't jump the prime. So Jason is going to try and take control of the outfield now. The 6-2 comes out, and then probably 8-6 to get a new builder to attack anyone who remains on the 5 point. The 2-2 is useless, so Sean is still stuck on his anchor. So he's got to kill a couple of checkers. So 7-1, 5-3 maybe, or 7-1 and 3-1. Yeah, so you've got to play 3-1, and then I suppose he's thinking of clearing the bar point, but that's going to lose a lot of flexibility next time. He'll be forced off the anchor with any 6. So 5-1, I think, is what I would reluctantly play here. Yeah, so this is the most ambitious play. This is keeping all his checkers in play. But the danger is next turn he's going to have to be coming off that 5-point anchor, whatever he rolls. So 4-2 is not a good roll for Jason. So he could play it aggressively, making the 4-point, but I don't think he wants to leave any blots there. So I would come out 21-15 here. So that makes the point 10 in front of Sean's anchor. So yeah, our plan here is to wait for Sean to come off his anchor and then attack. So there's a risk if we leave one blot behind, but I think given the position, we've got to take that risk, that unless Sean can roll something with a 1 next time and make his escape, then his board is going to be breaking seriously. Double 4 is a brilliant shot. So you certainly come round and maybe bring both of them round as far as they will go. Yep. And this roll has certainly got Sean out of a hole that he dug for himself. So 4-2, it's another poor roll. So he can't save both of the blots. The double 3 is brilliant, so we hit. I don't think we do this. We hit, we make the 2-point, and then we play in 9-6. So the problem with this is you're keeping the 9-point that might be difficult to clear next turn if your opponent comes in. Right, this is not making the 2-point. Yes, no, I think Sean has just missed the best play here. So you hit with one of the 3s, then you make the 2-point, and then you decide what to do with the last 3. So the order he's playing the moves in is kind of pushing him in the wrong direction. So I often say to my students that if you know the parts of the play are forced, so here you know you want to hit, you know you want to make the 2-point. Yeah, so now he's changed the order of the moves and found the right play. So he's paying double 4, but that's the only number that he should be worried about. So now he should be able to get the last guy home while his opponent's on the bar, and he duly does. So Sean is in very good shape to win this game, and again he's hoping to get a gammon out of it. So that quick entry by Jason might be enough to save the gammon. So 5-2. We could take 2 off, but that's a bit risky. So I think 6-1 and 2 off is the best compromise between taking checkers off to win the gammon and not leaving shots and getting hit. So probably the safest play is 6-1 and 5-3, but I think that's maybe too cautious. So like I say, 6-1 and 2 off is the play I would pick here. So that's the very cautious play. So again, Jason's in this position where he's trying to have a good position to contain a blot he might hit, but at the same time, he doesn't want to waste any pips in trying to save the gammon. 3-1 for Sean was good, so he keeps the status quo and takes 2 off. Yeah, so why coming out with the 4th one? Why don't we stay back and wait for 6-2 or something to develop? So yes, at least if you're on the 21 point, it would have slowed Sean's bear off in that he can't take a checker off and leave a blot on the 5. So it looks like Jason's done enough to save the gammon. A couple of double 4s would fail to save it, I think, but now everything works. So Sean is now 6-0 up. So playing to 9, this score I would describe as 3 away, many away. And the American guy, Stick Rice, he came up with a rule, Stick's rule, that you never double when you're leading 3 away, many away. So the reason is when you're doubling, there's usually some gammon threat, and the gammon is valuable when it takes you to Crawford. But if you get 1 point over your target, so your threat is winning a gammon and getting to 10. So what typically happens is if you do double these positions when you're 3 away, many away, your opponent will take and turn the cube back to 4 very quickly. So this was a tough decision, whether you make the 5 or unstack the mid. Not entirely clear to me. So while I've been talking, Sean's got one of his back checkers escaped. So Jason is so far behind in the match, he's got to consider doubling very early. So he's only got a 2-point board, but he does have 11 checkers to attack with. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was double, but on the other hand, I wouldn't feel it's going to be a monster double when you haven't made the 5-point. And if you miss your market and you win 1 point, you get to 8 away, which is an even number of points, and you could dream of winning 2 doubled gammons and winning the match. So I would wait, but certainly wouldn't blame anyone who doubled in this position. So 6-5. It's a good roll, but not really what he wanted. He wanted to attack, so 2-1 is useless. So now the position's improved for Jason. Now I think there's much more of an argument for doubling and saying that we've both got 1 checker back. Yeah, so he sees it the same way. But last time I wasn't sure, but this time things are better for me. So as well as his attacking options, he's now got some 9s to hit at the bottom of the board. So 5-4 could point at the top, but he's added 6-3 as a new hitting number. And there's a second black blot exposed for Jason to hit when his attack works. So here's the attack. So it looks like he's got the cube in at exactly the right time. So he could choose to make a priming play, but I think correctly, he's made the other point in board to go for the other blot. The 1-6, he's pleased to come in, but he's not very pleased looking at where the 6 goes. So this isn't clear to me. I think I would probably pick 10-4. That it's only a single shot, whereas if you go out to the 18, there's a bigger return, but you're giving 4s and 6s and 9s. The 9s are duplicated 4-5 and 6-3, but 4s and 6s to hit just seems like White's a big favourite to hit. At least if you play 10-4, he's got 3s to hit you. He won't like hitting with a 5 at the top of the board. And if you survive, you should get that checker safe. So this has a bigger upside and a bigger downside. I'm not quite sure how big the upside is, because that double 5 for Jason has probably given him a big race lead now. So if you make your escape with this checker, you're not going to routinely win the game at all. So 3 we want, or double 6 would make a 6-5 is quite nice. 6-1 makes the 5-point, so maybe that's not the best, but pretty close to it. So 4-1 we can cover the 4-point, but then we have to expose a blot with a 1. So the alternative is we could save the blot 4-3 and play 13-9. So that's probably the right play. Yeah, so this is leaving eights. 2, 6, and 3, 5. Not a lot of numbers. This is all the 4s and 1, 3, so 13 shots. The 4s are duplicated in some way. That the good numbers at the top of the board include a 4. So 4, 6, and double 4 were good numbers anyway. Double 1, so he should make a switching play, which he does. And then nothing special to do with the other 2. So, yeah, usually you don't want to come up to the 23 points. Then your opponent's points are working more to block you from escaping. So 6, 1, we could bring in another attacker or escape. Yes, I'm not sure. I think maybe he was right on his initial thought of coming out with the 6 because he wants to hit that second blot as a matter of urgency. If he waits, then Sean can come in and he can save it. And now he's coming up to attack the blot, and he's got 2, 4, and double 2 to close the board. So 4 is what he should be aiming for. 6, 3 is not it. Yeah, so he can run out, but then he'll never hit the second checker. So I think you've got to be bold here and play 2 down from the midpoint. So again, we're kind of going towards that sort of position we saw last time, where one player gets closed out with a few checkers in the outfield. The double 6, this is clearly right. So he gets 1 more build-up with a 2 point in return for a 2-5 shot. So Sean is in. And probably 13-12 I would pick here. You can save the blot with 9-8, but putting all your checkers on the same point makes it difficult to save the gammon because you're counting on rolling one particular number. Danger with this play is that Jason will hit him, and when he return hits, he's got 2 blots. 6-1 is useless, so he takes the checker off without hitting. And now Sean should run if he can, but that looks like a 4-3. So he strengthened his board, so he's wasted a couple of pips, but improved his chances when he hits. Okay, so this is good, point on head. Is it worth the risk to take a checker off? I don't think so, and neither does he. So he's got an even number of checkers left, 14 checkers. So, like the last game, Sean needs to come in quickly. So 6-1 is good. So 6 is right, and that 1 is wrong. Because what it does, in order to make the crossovers with that checker, you've got to roll 2 consecutive 6s. So playing 13-12 was better, or even 8-7 was better. 6. Make a crossover. No, 6 is definitely right. You want to maximize crossovers and not waste pips. So whenever you go to the 6 point, you're forced to make a crossover and you don't waste any pips. So you can take it for granted that going directly to the 6 point is the right play. Okay, so 3 comes into the 6 point. And the 5, we could make a crossover or diversify. So now he's left himself with 6 crossovers to get home. So that's really costing him an extra roll unless he gets a double. So 6-3, we come in with the 6 and bring the 3 down from the midpoint probably. Nothing wrong with wasting the pip, it's not terrible at all. So is Sean going to have enough rolls to get home? He might well be able to do it unless Jason gets a double. 2-1 is the worst. So 5-4, right, so now Sean can get a checker off if he gets another turn, and he doesn't. Right, so Jason gets the full reward from his well-timed double. So 6-4. We're now effectively down to a 5-point match. So we can translate the score and say, Sean, it's 2-0 in a match up to 5. So 3 away, 5 away. The 3 away player should be a bit shy about doubling, but the 5 away player again should be a bit more aggressive about doubling. So a double gammon will take him to Crawford as an extra bonus, so his gammon price is a bit higher than normal. 6-5 we usually hit twice. So you bring the 6 down from the midpoint hitting, and then you've got 9 checkers in the zone. So that signals that you can make a more aggressive play by hitting on the 1 point. So Jason sees that. 1-4 brings both checkers in with a hit, so that's a very good roll. Now Jason really wanted to enter with something in a 6 to make the bar point. So he's correctly attacking, he's fighting for key points. 4-4 is a wipeout roll, so he hits inboard, points on the blot on the 4 point, and looks around for a convenient 4th one. So 13-9, unstacking the mid and getting a new builder for the 5 and the 3 is good. So at the moment, it looks like Sean's best plan is to play on for the undoubled gammon. So you can see in this sort of position, a lot of black's wins are going to be gammon. So if that happens, that will take him to Crawford 5 away. So that would limit Jason to 16% winning chances. So if he doubles, then he can potentially get redoubled and effectively give Jason a chance to get into the lead in this match. So a lot of his threat is winning the gammons, and the gammons aren't worth anything when the cube gets to 4. So I feel very clear that Jason should be taking this, but I mean, the computer, whenever you ask XG, it gives you a categorical answer, but it's based that answer on 2 equal opponents. So in the real world, if you make a double, then your opponent has the chance to go wrong. So I think generally XG, it sometimes says, a double is worth doing if you can get 10% passes from your opponent. That number appears on the very bottom left of the XG screen when it's considering doubles. So what happens if he passes? He's trailing 2 away, 5 away. So that's an easy one to remember. It's 2-5 to 5 is 5-2 is 2-5, 25%. So I think it's a big take for white, but it does look a bit scary that you're probably going to be playing some sort of a back game. So passing to still have 25% match winning chances isn't a terrible mistake, I think, but the XG I rather fear will say it's a big mistake. So what's black's threat? He's got 1s, 3s, 4s, and 6s. So the 3s and 6s are duplicated at the top and bottom of the board. So there's not too many decisive numbers, and even when you point on the 5 point, white can still make some sort of a back game. Yeah, so Sean hasn't unstacked his 6 point, so what he wants to do next turn is to make the 5 point with 1x, but just making it with 4-6 or 3-6 or something, you can see he's still going to have this stack on the 6 point to get rid of. So 5-6, that looks like a bad roll. So he can hit on either side of the board, but the 5 doesn't seem to do anything. I think the play here I would make is you hit at the top of the board and then play 13-8. So yeah, maybe if you think 13-8 is your 5 and then decide which 6 you like. So now the cube's already on 2, you can see Sean's gammons aren't worth so much, so he should focus much more on trying to win the game rather than trying to win this elusive gammon, which is only going to get him one extra point. So this one I think is a mistake. So Jason now has crucial role to potentially get back in the game. So 3-6, he can come in and hit or make the bar. I think hitting is clear here. You want to take half of white's roll away, half of blue's roll away, so he can't cover the 5 point next time. If you make the bar point, then blue will probably cover his 5 point blot. So it looks like he's seen it the same way. And now Sean needs to come in with something with a 1 or a 3. So 5, if he can come in and make the 5 points. So that was the danger of 3-1. He could do some attacking, or he could make the bar. So yeah, he's got a potential to hit twice. Or he could play 16-13 and 8-7. That's the safe play. Point on the 5 point, yeah, of course. So silly me not to see that. So 3-1, you usually make the 5 point. 1-6 hits outside. Four stays on the bar. So one thing noticeable in this match so far is that crucial decisions. Jason's just got stuck on the bar when he needed to come in. Okay, so that's rounded up all the blots. So our next task would be to try and make the 3 point. So there's nothing we can do for extra builders. The other thing Sean should be focusing on is white's jokers. What happens when white rolls double 1 or double 3? Okay, so yes, we make the 3 point exactly. Then you can make the 18 or the 21. So the 18 leaves your double 6s blocked, and the 21 would leave your double 4s blocked. So neither of them are particularly bad. So I wouldn't lose any sweat over either play. And now you can see Sean's anti-joker is double 6. So 5-2 is not great. So he's coming off that point. That surprises me a bit. I think I would have played 24-22 with the 2. That I don't want that checker stuck later on. So Jason's in and he's got a hit. So now he's right back in the game, but he needs some 6s to get these back checkers moving. 4-3. Sean sensibly makes the anchor to avoid anything going wrong quickly. 3-1. It's a hit and cover. That's a very good roll. So Jason needs to get his back checkers out with a 6, but if Sean can't do anything in the short term, then his 3 trap checkers might mean that he has to break his board. So 4-2, there's no 6. I guess we bring 2 down from the midpoint. So Sean also wants a 6 here. And there is the 6. What do you do with it? I would get 1 checker out, 21-15. Getting a checker half out is doing half the job. So Jason's still desperate for 6s. He needs 6s sometime pretty soon. So 5-2 doesn't do much good at all. Now I can only see 11-4. It's the only play here. Yeah, so you don't have to like it, you just have to do it. I remember we used to play in a club where one of the players said, treat it like you like it, pretend it's a good roll. You want to hit it off the edge of the prime, you're lucky enough to be able to do it. Right, so that's a setback for Jason, so now he needs a 1 before his 6s. But he's still got some block at the top. Sean needs 3 and 6. So 2, 5 is not going to cut it. Yeah, so coming up is good to the 22 point, because then you're adding 4s as a new escaping number. At the moment, he's only got 3s and 6s. Right, so that I think was clearly a mistake. And if he rolls double 4 or 4-5, he will discover why. So 6-1 is great. He's got someone out, and this time he gets the front one out. Now, Jason's been waiting a long time for 6s, and I personally feel he's due one or overdue one. Yeah, so 6 is good. So why is he thinking? So 6 to 5 looks like a good one. 24-23 looks like a bad one, because then the 8 point is blocking you in. And this looks like a neutral one. So where are Jason's 6s? They haven't arrived yet. The 4 point is good. Next 2 4s not so good. 4-3, still no 6. Yeah, so 3 is not nice. But we'd still rather be on the 3 point than the 2 point. So that leaves the back checker further from home, and we don't want the spare on the 2 point. Right, so Jason's still not got his 6s. Sean has got a kind of indirect 6. Yeah, so he's right to think, but I see he can just play safe and make the 11 point. Yeah, so that looks fine. Leave no shots. I'm by nature a very cautious player, and if you've got a game sewn up, why are you giving your opponent chances to get right back in it? So the point I'm making is it's unlikely you're going to get hit in this variant, but if you make the 11 point, it's impossible for you to get hit. So double 5 is almost the worst. Double 4 I think was worse still. 5-2, so he's limping round. So overall, this looks like a disaster. Yes, so taking the 2 off is right. So spares on the 2 point are really bad in the bear off, so you should take them off at the first opportunity. 5-2, 5 off is forced, and then 6-4 is going to be safest. So it looks inevitable that Sean is going to win this game, and he'll win a gammon unless he gets hit. Yeah, so I think that's a bit too aggressive. I think with all those checkers back, you just need to get off safely. So what I think is going on here is if Sean gets hit, he's not going to lose the game anyway. Or 2 again, he's taking off the 2 point, I'm sure is correct. So Jason's got to try and evacuate the 24 point just so he can try and get to a coup classique. So 4 off his force, 3 to 2 is the only safe play. Double 3 is pretty useless. So I would try and get something in range of the 3 point blot. Doesn't matter too much at all here. So 3, 2, you can take 2 off or clear the point. I would clear the point very quickly. This leaves you potential double shot numbers with 2 blots. So he settles for the safe play. So again, Jason's got to try and get off this 24 point. I think he does. 4-3 is a shot. So 3-7 or 3-8 is what we would like. But provided there's a 3, that's a good start. Okay, so we can't cover the blot. So we've got another 9 to go. So making the 10 or the 11 point looks the right idea here. Yeah, so the 10 point blocks double 5 and 6-4. 5-4 must come out. So 1s and 2s to hit with a 6, hopefully. So I would hit with a 1. Why is he not hitting? This, I think you have to hit irrespective of the risk. Your board isn't great, but it's a 2 point board, the same as his. You let the guy run round. Now you really need to hit to save the gammon. If you don't hit, you won't save the gammon. Okay, so hit is good, and save the block on the 3 point. Don't want to go all the way back and lose the gammon again after being lucky. Double 2 fans, 4, 7, or 12 covers. 4 is good. So a lot of people have problems with these positions, and I have a simple set of rules how you play containment positions. So the first rule is if you can make a play that takes you towards a winning position, you should do that. And there's no play that does that. Then the second rule is you have to avoid yourself losing quickly. So you want to see what's your opponent's best rolls. So you look towards blocking the double 6 and double 5, double 4. Or if you roll 6-5, you'd want to get some outfield coverage. Right, so 1 6s and 8s to hit. 7 doesn't fit the bill. So 15 to 8. So this is good. It blocks the point 6 away, but what do you do with the 5? So Blue would still be very keen to hit. Okay, so goes to the 6 point. Again, he's desperate for a 1 to save the gammon and stay in the match. And this time he's missed it. Right, so Sean needs 8 crossovers. Jason needs 7 crossovers, but not the long ones. So 9 or 12 is what he's after. 3 is a crossover. Not too fussed about the 2. So Sean just has to avoid rolling the 1. Or 1 is useless. Yeah, I don't like this. I would leave them all on white points. So the 6 point is a white point, so then doubles will take you exactly there. So this is just much too small for Jason. I don't think there's any hope. So he's got double 6 if he gets a turn for it, but that's all there is. Right, so that looks like the end of it. Okay, so just to keep you updated, that was round 2, which was scheduled to be the 1 o'clock round. The next match, I believe, is scheduled for 3 p.m, so about an hour's time from now. And then the last match we should be doing today is 2 hours after that, is 5 p.m. So I'm scheduled to do 4 matches today, and this was the second one of the 4. So the first